Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today? It is Monday, January the 28th. It's hard to believe that a whole month in the new year has already gone by, and Friday is going to be the first of the month. Hi, Chantrell. How are you? And it's just, mind-boggling. Hi, Darlene. Hi, Dana. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Tonight we are going to be talking, hi Lucretia, about nanny taxes. We are going to be able to ask questions and get answers and find out what's deductible, what's not deductible. Hi Rena, how are you? And we're going to find out, hi Amber, how we file, those of us who get paid off the books or under the table. Hi Patty, hi Meeches. So we're going to find out all the information today. But before we get started, a couple of things. The INA conference. Thank you ladies, Tanya and Rachel and Marsha last week came on and they told us about the INA and when it's going to start. It's going to be in New Orleans. The deadline to sign up to get your tickets, the deadline, absolute deadline, is February the 18th. So if you haven't signed up yet, please get your tickets now. You have about 2 weeks, I think, maybe 3. February 18th is the deadline. Hello to everyone else who just came in. Rachel and Margaret and Susan and Lauren. Hi Kathy, how are you? And Stacy and Virtuous. How are you all? Now, another thing, these t-shirts, the t-shirt that I have on, it says who's popping, ask the nanny on Facebook Live, and it says educate, elevate, encourage, and empower. These t-shirts come in 6 colors. We are selling them as a fundraiser for the INNTD, the International Nanny Training Day. And if you'd like to get a t-shirt to help for the endowment fund, those nannies who cannot are struggling to get to the INNTD, we want everyone who can go to participate and attend the INNTD this year. Last year we sent 5 people to the International Nanny Training Day. This year we want to send 10 plus people. So please, 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 even if you don't want to buy the t-shirt, you can always donate to help your fellow sisters and brothers get the training, the professional development training that they need. You know I am all about professional development. Also, thank you all for responding to my post earlier today about the nanny agencies and the nanny associations. I am working on something and I promise to have an announcement for you next month. Right now, we're going to get started and we're going to bring Kathy on so we can get started with her. And since it's adding her, da 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 da. So we're just waiting for her to come on so we can get started and ask all of our questions about taxes. I hope you all are having a good start to your week. Let's see. It says adding. Okay, Kathy, I'm not sure if you hit the accept button. My first question should be, are you on your mobile device? Let me see. Okay, let me close this down and let's see, let me try it again. Now, says I'm adding you.
There we go. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Am I echoing?
Not to me.
Okay. All right. I just listened for it to make sure that I'm not echoing. So, can you want to introduce yourself and tell us what you do,
Sure.
as if we don't already know?
Well, I'm Kathy Webb. I'm a co-founder of Homework Solutions. We are one of the largest nanny payroll companies in the United States. We handle payroll for literally thousands of families that have nannies, housekeepers, and most recently a lot of senior care, because a lot of older adults are looking for someone to help them in the house so they can age in place.
Oh, I didn't know you did
Yeah,
that.
sometimes they call them granny nannies.
Well, everybody needs a nanny.
That's right.
Everybody needs a nanny. So, let's get right into it. Okay, so there is a controversy about the W-2s versus the 1099 versus I don't have to pay taxes or my employer is not taking taxes out. Tell us, what status do we have? Are
Well,
we salary? W-2? What are
okay.
exactly are we?
So the short answer is nothing has changed in the 26 years I've been in this business.
Okay.
Nannies are employees. Employees are given W-2 forms. The, the
Right.
families that they work for are their employers, and they're responsible to report the wages that they paid them. They're responsible to either deduct the Social Security taxes or agree to pay them for the nanny, and families do both. They're responsible to contribute to unemployment insurance, and they're responsible, according to state law, for workers' compensation insurance. When you're treated as an employee and you get a W-2, the family contributes above and beyond everything that they've paid you and what they might deduct from your paycheck. They contribute another 7.65% to your Social Security fund. If you agree to be treated as an independent contractor, you're only cheating yourself at the end of the day. Number one, that 7.65% of taxes for Social Security that your family would have paid, you're going to pay that. So you're going to pay your share, you're going to pay their share. When the job ends, you won't have unemployment insurance because the family will not have contributed to it. If you get hurt on the job, and it sounds, well, how do you get hurt taking care of a baby? I couldn't tell you how many broken wrists, ankles, people with bad backs from, wrestling a baby out of the back of a car. This kind of stuff happens. And if you allow yourself to be treated as an independent contractor, you're not going to have workers' comp in the event of a workplace accident. And what workers' comp does is it pays your medical bills for that accident, because your regular health insurance isn't going to pay for an injury that you got at work. And it also pays for lost wages. So if you have to miss work for a couple of weeks, they'll pay, generally speaking, about 60% of what your wage would have been, to help you get by while you're injured. So you're an employee under the law. You should demand that you be treated as such.
Okay. Okay. Now, if we're W-2s, now when you say they are supposed to pay taxes, what by law are they supposed to pay our federal taxes and state taxes, or are they only required to pay the 7.65% of the Social Security?
Okay,
What are
let's
they
talk about
supposed to
federal
legally?
taxes, because the term federal taxes is very broad, and we need to break it down.
Okay.
So the family is
Okay.
responsible to pay the Social Security taxes. They're entitled to
Mm-hmm.
collect from you your portion, but at the end of the day, they have to send your part and the contribution that they make to the government. That goes to the federal government. They're also responsible for federal unemployment taxes. Those go to the federal government. You are always responsible for your own income taxes. They can choose to
Okay.
deduct them for you, but if they don't deduct them, you are still responsible for them. The family's never responsible for your income taxes.
Okay. So whether it's state or federal or local
Right,
taxes,
right.
income
They're neither
The nanny is
they're not responsible for them, and they don't have to deduct them if they choose not to. We always encourage families to do that because, what the heck, if why make it harder for your employee to have to pay into her income taxes? And when you use a service like ours, it's no harm, no foul because we do it all for them. We do the calculations, we do the deductions, we send the money into the state, we send the money into the IRS and get it all taken care of.
good, good. Now, I'm going to pause for a second and tell everyone, hit the share button down at the bottom because I know your nanny friends. There have been several conversations going on, and I've had questions asked of me in private messages about taxes. And I have told them Monday night, be right here Monday night, get all those questions answered. So hit the share button so that your friends, your nanny sisters, your nanny brothers can come and watch so they can get it and know it's not a hearsay, other nanny's opinion, or my employer did this and my employer did that. You will know the facts. Hit the share button so they can find out the facts and not hearsay. And then somebody's going to be upset because something wasn't taken out or you got the information wrong and you end up owing money. So hit the share button now so we can get the facts to your friends and your nanny sisters and your nanny brothers. Now, I have another question. When you said 1099, now I know some NCSs choose to do the 1099. Is that wrong or is that right? Do they have a choice in that matter?
That's a much more complicated and nuanced question because
Okay.
because some NCSs run their own businesses, and
Right.
so I can't give you a blanket answer for that. But in general, an NCS would be considered a household employee, or they're the employee of the business that is sending them out and billing the client. They're somebody's employee. It just is a matter of whose they are.
So if they're working with an agency, they're the employee of the agency.
Well, some agencies don't, some agencies just do referral. They don't bill the family for the NCS's fee. They just take a fee for sending the NCS out as a finder's fee. And then the NCS bills the family directly and the family pays the NCS directly. In that case, the agency was just a matchmaker and the family is the employer. Other agencies do, in fact, employ the NCSs and send them out. So it's really a matter of the circumstances there. I don't know of any agencies that employ regular nannies. They might employ temporary on-call nannies that go out to do church babysitting on Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights and provide backup care for when the nanny calls in sick or goes on vacation. Those individuals they might employ, but a nanny that's going to work every day, 5 days a week for the same family for an indefinite period of time is almost always paid for directly by the family, and therefore the family is the employer.
Okay. You heard it right here. So, how does a nanny pay for her taxes or file her taxes if she was paid off the books?
Okay.
How does that?
Well, was she paid off the books and did she ask for a W-2 and was denied it? Was that the case?
Well, I'm just asking a question because I know a lot of nannies are not paid on the books. Some of them don't even know that they're supposed to be paid on the books. And some of them are afraid to ask to be paid on the books because they may, this is a great opportunity and I don't want to mess it up by telling them to pay me on the books.
Well, if they are being paid off the books and they want to pay taxes, they're going to owe income taxes and they're going to owe both parts of that Social Security tax because they didn't get a W-2 from their employer. So there's no situation where the government says just because you didn't know something or were afraid of something that you don't owe your taxes. It just doesn't work that way. So the best thing to do is to have that conversation up front when you're interviewing with families And many nannies find it easier to hand the family some collateral when they're interviewing, like, this is the information I have about paying the taxes. We have that collateral free to download off our website, a 10-step thing on how to pay the nanny taxes. It takes the nanny out of the middle of the conversation and introduces an 800 number that the family can call if they don't already know what's going on. But most families, honestly, hiring a full-time person, they know that they're becoming employers. It's really, really rare that they're totally ignorant. They may choose to profess that, oh, I didn't know this, it's so complicated, whatever. But bear in mind that the fees for a company like ours to take care of this for the family are about equal to 1 week of the nanny's pay for the year. So it's like the family hired the nanny for 53 weeks a year instead of 52.
Hey, that works. Okay, so I have a question here. Is the federal taxes the same as the income tax? I think that's what she's trying to say.
Well, again, federal taxes is a catch-all that covers different types of tax. So Social Security tax is a federal tax. Federal income tax is a federal tax. So using the term federal tax is making everyone have an opportunity to be confused because it's just too broad.
Right. Okay.
Okay, you have to be specific. You have to talk about Social Security, Medicare, and federal income taxes separately.
Okay. Well, I was just asking her question.
That's all right.
Okay, so I have another here. For 2018 taxes, what kind of educational expenses can a nanny deduct or claim?
Well, I think most nannies are going to find that itemizing those deductions is never going to be worth their while since the tax cuts went through last year, because the standard deduction got so big that they're never going to have enough educational expenses that qualify that will offset, that will make them want to itemize.
Okay. So itemizing is pretty much
it's highly unlikely that stuff that you pay, like to go to the INA conference or to take a couple classes at the community college, adding up all those expenses is highly, highly unlikely to rise to a number that's big enough to make it worth your while to do itemization.
Okay. So what kind of things are, I shouldn't say deductible?
Well, that's the point. That's where the world changed with the tax cuts, because some things are deductible, like educational expenses and the travel to and from the educational expenses is quote unquote deductible. But when you choose to deduct, it becomes itemization. And when you itemize, you give up the standard deduction because you're saying, I have enough items that make it bigger than the standard deduction. And since they doubled the standard deduction this year, it went from $6,000 to $12,000 for a single person. It's highly unlikely that you're going to find $6,000 worth of itemization to tack in there. That's my point. It's actually the changes to the tax law really made that a lot easier.
Okay. So the tax laws this year, by the time you get through trying to itemize all those deductions,
you're going to say, nope, I'm going to take the standard deduction.
Take the standard deduction and call it a day. Now, if I'm driving my nanny kids in my car and I'm taking them to and from all these different places and I'm getting wear and tear on my car, is it worth trying to figure that out? If I have them every day in my car and I'm driving 2 to 3.
Number one, when you take that job and negotiate your contract, you should absolutely negotiate a mileage reimbursement. The IRS sets a mileage reimbursement. Off the top of my head, it just changed this year. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it's 55 cents a mile. It's within a couple cents of that. And your family should reimburse you that amount for every mile that you travel on behalf of the family. So taking the kids to and from school, to and from after school activities, that type of stuff. You can't count your commuting mileage. So you can't count the mileage
Right.
from your house to their house or from their house back to yours. But
Okay.
anything that you're doing for them, you could. And when you negotiate your work agreement, your contract with the family, that should definitely be in there if you're going to use your car. Now, that amount is intended to reimburse you for your gasoline, the wear on your tires, normal maintenance, and that type of stuff. So,
Okay. All right. I have someone who sent me a text message um, about their a tax situation. Hold on, I'm trying to scroll down so I can read the whole thing. Um, they have an interview with the family. The nanny quit on them without notice, and um, the mom is asking for a 60-hour work week. Now, if she's got a 60-hour work week, that means that she's getting paid 20 hours overtime, right?
if she doesn't
Because
live
she's
with,
got hourly.
if she's a come and go nanny, yes, in fact, that's the case everywhere.
Okay. So, and the parents have to pay the taxes on not only the hourly, the 40 hours, but they have to pay the
Oh,
whole
yeah,
taxes on
absolutely.
everything.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. And you said there's a form that we can download and print out that we can take with us to an interview that's on your website?
There, absolutely there is. If you go to homeworksolutions.com and in the search bar, you type in something like nanny paid legally, you'll come up to a page that allows you to download a document. It's a 2-page PDF that explains uh, how nanny wants to be paid legally. What I can do for you is after this, I can go onto the website and I can post a link for it on the Homework Solutions Facebook page, and you can share that. How's that?
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure
I
thing.
appreciate it. This form is going to, I would suggest, and this is just me, because I carry a portfolio and I carry a mini portfolio when I go and interview for nanny jobs. And in my mini portfolio, I have a copy of my work agreement and my resume, references. This is a form that you need to put in that mini portfolio. So while they're reading all this stuff and going through your paperwork, that they will see, wait a minute, she put something in here about paying legally, which means gives them a clue that says, I want to be paid legally. I want you to put me on the books. And it's a conversation starter so that you won't have a problem saying, well, we didn't discuss that. Well, guess what? I brought this for you and lay it out. I always take everything out and tell them what it is. I explain it to them. So there is no question as to why I want to be paid legally, why what I need to be paid, my salary, here's my resume, here's all these things.
Right.
This form is a conversation starter. So if you don't know how to start that conversation with your parents about, well, I want to be paid on the books, this is a conversation starter. Even if you're going in for you haven't been paid on the books and you're going in for your annual review, guess what? Bring something to the table besides your voice. Bring some
Right.
proof to the table, let them read. Because they're if it's just you, they're like, oh, whatever.
Well, and I'd
But if you
also
bring,
suggest having a template for a work agreement in your
yes.
portfolio. We have a template that you can download for free. There are some, like Laura Brawley sells the A to Z nanny contract, which many people swear by. Ours is a much simpler document, so it won't cover every single situation imaginable, whereas she's spent 20 years putting together every possible scenario.
Oh yes.
And
Oh yes.
but the point is that you can either pay for something from someone like Laura, or you can go to Homework Solutions and download the free template And at least it gets you started on, here's the basics, like here's my schedule, here's what I'm going to get paid, here's how we're going to handle the taxes, here's how we're going to handle holidays. Are there any paid holidays? What are they? And all of these little details that people forget to talk about. And then they become issues when Columbus Day rolls around and you go, am I going to work on Columbus Day, or is that a paid day off? What about Christmas? Oh, what about if Christmas is on a Sunday? Do I still get paid because Sunday's my day off? All those kinds of things. A good work agreement template can help you when you're having that conversation. And again, as you said, having it in writing on a piece of paper is a conversation starter that, you can go over. Let's go over the details.
Right. Rachel has a follow-up question. She said there are nanny training programs that cost upwards of $8,000, wow, per year, per session. Nanny household management butler schools. At that point, would a person itemize?
That's the kind of question that you're going to need to talk to your personal tax advisor about, because the totality of your tax situation, like, do you have a mortgage to add into it? That type of thing is all going to have to be taken into account.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't get down into that detail level of how to prepare your personal income taxes. I'm happy to tell you anything about the nanny taxes, but I could get myself in trouble making assumptions without the facts.
I understand, and we don't want anybody to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. How can we convince, she wants to know how she can convince her mom that it's her responsibility to pay the taxes, but she refuses. Can I tell her that there is a possibility she could be audited?
Well, here's the serious risk, is ask that mom if she's going to pay that nanny forever. Is that job ever going to end? The way she's going to get caught is when that job ends and that nanny files for unemployment.
Oh,
that will get a family every single time. And then the state knows. You file for unemployment in Texas. Texas goes and tells the IRS, hey, we got a new one here that just didn't have an EIN. And then the IRS comes, sends you a little letter going, hey, Texas talked to us. There are 43 states now that share that information from unemployment claims with the IRS.
Wow.
So in the old days, they didn't talk to each other, and they would, Texas would collect their piece of pie, but the IRS would never know it. Now they're active with each other.
That's good to know.
Yep.
That is so
yeah, there've been states signing on since 2011. So it's almost universal at this point in time.
Okay. Now, how do we file if we have a W-2? Can we file it's not the easy form, but the regular 1040? Do we file the 1040 or?
The 1040 forms have changed this year, again, because of the changes in the tax laws. So everyone files a 1040 return these days. It's just a question of what schedules you might attach to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And if you use tax software like TurboTax or something like that, it's just going to walk you through the questions, and it will spit out the right forms for you. You don't really need to know which one it is.
Yes, that's what
But again, they're all different. They're all different this year.
But they will ask you questions, and if you say yes to this, they flip over here and say, okay, you say no to that, they back here this way.
Yep.
So it just depends on how you answer those questions as to what the computer generates and puts in front of as to what you need.
Right.
Nanny, some holidays that do fall on the weekend and observe on Monday, isn't the nanny supposed to have it off? That's a contract negotiation.
Exactly right. That's my point. Because there's nothing in federal law that says, or state law even, that says anybody has to be paid for any holiday. So that's what you do.
Right.
That's why having a template for a work agreement that spells that out. It says check off the holiday. Ours just says check off the holidays that are paid. And it says right in that section that if the holiday falls on a Saturday, it's observed on Friday and paid. And if it falls on Sunday, it's observed on Monday and paid. And then, boof, you don't have to worry about it because it's in your contract.
Right. Because I always take the day after Thanksgiving off.
Yep,
That's one of my payoffs. I,
right.
I have that in my contract.
Well,
I'm like, I
that's
want
why you do
Thanksgiving
that.
and
Exactly right. But
and I take Christmas.
having a contract template, like I was
Yes.
suggesting, is what lets you know that you've got at least the basics covered. The stuff that's going to
Right.
cause you to have a disagreement with your mom boss or dad boss, 6 months down the road, doesn't need to happen if you settle it all up front. Everyone
This
knows
is
what
true.
to expect.
The interview process is so important. Get everything out, whether you're scared or not. Get everything out. Communication, communication, communication. If you don't communicate your needs, then they will just assume that you will go with whatever they want you to have.
Exactly right.
So
You have to advocate for
communicate.
yourself.
That's right. Lord taught me that. The art of saying no and how to negotiate.
Yes.
Okay.
She's very good
When a
at it.
nanny gets, yes, she is. Rachel says when a nanny gets their W-2, assuming they, hold on, it flipped up. Assuming they know nothing about filing taxes, what is your best advice on where to go and what to do? Buy tax software like TurboTax, walk into the HR block, or walk into a CPA office?
Okay, if the nanny doesn't know anything about paying taxes, go to somebody like H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt or something like that and pay the extra. Your software is going to cost you $50. Um,
Right.
so pay the extra $50 and get someone who knows what they're doing having a conversation with you instead of like you hitting buttons on your computer. Because if you really don't know anything about it, the tax software is probably not your best first choice.
So true, so true,
Right.
so true.
Now, if you've
It
done it a
can
few
be.
times and you have an idea of how it works, then the tax software is invaluable. It
Yes.
not only does it do all the math right, but it saves you buckets of time.
Yes, it does. And you don't have to sit and wait in that line or make an appointment and then
Right.
miss work because it's too long and you call it in and trying to find, yes. But if you have no clue, go to H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt or someone who is familiar with
Right.
taxes.
There's many
No,
firms
don't
like
try to do
that.
it yourself.
Yeah. And a CPA would probably be my last choice because their hourly rate is so high and your stuff is
Yeah,
so uncomplicated. It really is not that complicated. You do not need someone with a CPA credential to do this. There's
this is true.
also, just as
Because
a point of reference, there's also, I think it's called the VCAP program. It's voluntary. It's voluntary or volunteers that usually work out of libraries that help people do their tax returns for free. And if you go to your local public library or contact them and ask them when they have tax professionals coming in, it's usually on a Saturday, to help, you can get it done for free. They typically work, particularly with bilingual communities, because people that have moved in from other countries are not familiar with our tax system. Um, so anyway, but that's another option. I think most nannies though are going to be happiest going to a paid professional. And with the paid professional, you get a guarantee. If they did something wrong, they'll stand behind it. If you owe more taxes, you still owe more taxes, but they'll fix it. So, whereas if you
right,
try to do it yourself with tax software and then do it wrong, who's got to fix it? You.
that's right.
Yeah.
Or you pay the extra $39.95 to have someone that will go to court with you. I'm like, wait a minute, go to court? What you talking about? We don't want to go to court. We want to get it done now and be done with it. Okay, so um, Rachel wants to know about saving receipts. What kind of receipts should a nanny be saving throughout the year?
Well, if a nanny thinks that she's going to be itemizing, then she should save receipts for professional associations that she's paid dues for, like the International Nanny Association, for example. If she's attended conferences, she should save those receipts. If she's had to buy supplies that were not reimbursed, some nannies, when they use their own car, buy their own car seat, then they could you could save those types of receipts. Anything that you bought in the way of something that was necessary to perform your job would be important. If you are going to try to itemize your mileage, the family didn't reimburse you and you want to itemize that deduction, and again, I think it's highly unlikely that most people are going to want to be doing this given the changes in the tax law, but if you're going to itemize, then you need to keep a mileage log, and the log has to include the date, the starting mileage, the ending mileage, and the purpose of the trip. And it needs to be kept pretty contemporaneously. So you can't like make it up in April 10th and go, oh, let me put together a whole bunch of stuff here. That's not gonna fly. There are apps like Mileage IQ and stuff that you can buy that you can do it on your smartphone, but you always have to include those elements in your log. Like,
Okay.
I went 5 miles to the school. The purpose of the trip was to pick up the child. Then I returned 5 miles, that type of thing.
Okay.
Okay, and that's something you should do. And trust me, if you try to do it at the end of the year, you're going to forget half the stuff you did.
Yes.
You're going to
Unless
forget,
you are
oh, you
writing
ran to the
down
grocery store, or that you ran to the party store to buy supplies for a birthday party, and that type of stuff. But again, I think that it's highly unlikely that most nannies are going to be itemizing any of this stuff anymore, which makes life really easier.
Okay. Hold on, let me grab this. Glenda wants to know, can you talk about the differences between a car stipend and being reimbursed for gas?
Well, I can talk about the difference between mileage reimbursement versus being reimbursed for gas. It's because mileage reimbursement, the 58 cents a mile, is much more than you pay for gasoline. Let's say you're putting gas in your car for $3.50 right now, but you're going 25 miles on that $3.50. The 58 cents a mile is way higher than that because it's intended to pay for your oil changes, your new tires, that type of stuff. Anything that's reimbursed over 58 cents a mile is taxable. So some families say, look, I'm going to give you $100 a month so that we can use your car. Well, if the net effect of that is they're reimbursing over 58 cents a mile, it's taxable. So it's always better to actually get a mileage reimbursement, not really a stipend.
Okay.
Okay, because the stipend brings all kinds of questions or rise up, like how many miles was it? How do I know how many miles it was? So it's always better to do it the other way. Now, the family does not have to agree to 58 cents a mile. They can agree to something less.
Really? Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. And some families, I've seen contracts where the families just say 50 cents a mile and it doesn't change from year to year to year. And some nannies are good with that, but just by saying, you know what, I'm so glad I'm getting it. I'm not going to worry about, the $2 difference at the end of the week.
Right. I always put in my work agreement the current years.
That's the right way to do it.
Because it changes by 1 or 2 cents. Last year it was like 54 cents. This year is 58 cents. 4 cents over, over 100 miles. That's like what, $4?
Yeah, no, I know
So
that you're doing it the right way. You're doing it the right way. But some families try to just, make it up on the fly.
nickel and dime you.
Yeah, or they're in
Like,
their mind, they're just making it easier.
right, right. I'll just give you $100 for whatever you did at the end of the week, and it's not, a nanny doesn't consider that as income, but they consider it as, you're paying me for the wear and tear in my car, for going to pick up your kids, for them eating in my car. And I got to detail my car because I got red juice on my vinyl, on my seats. I got it. To
Oh,
me,
never let them drink red juice in your car. Ever, ever.
I I had, it was, we came home from a birthday party, and he dropped he was, the little boy was having a fit, and he dropped the bag, the little goodie bag, and it had a little juice box in there. And apparently the juice box was not secure, and it was just like all over. Beige carpet in the car. I was like, really? Seriously? So yeah, the parents reimbursed me. Well, I should say they gave me money to get it detailed.
Yep.
But I ended up putting a rug, a car mat over that, trying to cover that spot. So yeah, no red juice,
No red
no
juice.
red.
Nothing with
No,
sugar either.
no,
No,
and don't let
water.
the
Water
kids
works
buy
really
you.
well.
My policy is, don't let the I will rather pull over to the side of the road and let the kids eat, because if you're driving and they're eating and they start choking,
That's
what
another
you
good
gonna
point.
do? You're in the middle of traffic. What you gonna do? Stop. You're gonna cause an accident because the child is choking, and then everybody gonna get killed because you didn't let you make the child wait till you get home.
Yep.
I just pull over to the side of the road. And that's why I always take the back roads, because I can pull into Walmart or Target or whatever. Here, eat, because I'd rather stop for that 10-15 minutes, let them have something to eat, and let them calm down and get that hangry out of them, than to be, yeah. So, don't do it. That's all I'm saying. Our next question. Tim said, I started asking for a stipend for professional development for my work agreement too. That's a good idea. Professional development, love it, love it, love it. Are things like education stipends for classes, conferences taxable?
Not up to $5,250, I think, is the current annual limit. So long as it's actually a legit, like you're going to INTD, or you're going to INA, or you're going to Nanny Palooza, where there's like a program. I advise people to save the programs to so that if they ever get questioned, they've got something that says, oh, look, Dr. Sears was here, or oh, look, Dr. G was here, or whatever. But
Right.
up to, I'm pretty sure it's 5,250 is the limit. And I don't really know very many families that pay that much.
If you get $300, you're doing good.
Yeah, no, but well, a lot of families will pay for INA if you negotiate it in your contract.
Yes,
And the
but
good
you
news
have
on
to
that
make
is that
it
if you have to give up, 20 cents an hour, and you get INA paid in full for you every year, you're way ahead of
Oh
the
yeah,
game because you didn't pay taxes on any of that.
that's right. Tax free
Yep.
at the beginning. I You just remind me of a question.
Okay.
Um, I had a family who had that pre-tax child care,
Yep.
where it was taken out of their check, and they get reimbursed for their child care, but they needed my social security number and sign this form.
Right.
So is that extra? How does that work if they're not paying taxes on it, but I have to
Then
pay?
then both of you guys are at risk if you're not filing and paying the taxes, because that gets reported to the Internal Revenue Service to legitimize the deduction.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so the family's got $5,000 in a pre-tax account, and every time they want to get their $500 a week out of it until they use it up, they have to fill out a form and say who was the caregiver, and how much should they pay them, and what was their social security number. Anytime you give up your social security number, you've given up your anonymity. And if you're trying to get paid off the books and do that, you're making life difficult for you, or potentially difficult for you and for the family that you work for. So if the family wants to use a pre-tax dollars, I strongly encourage anybody in that situation to say, the only way we're doing this is if we're being paid on the books, period.
Right. Okay. So, you know, some parents will do that, and they already have your social security number. But I think, and this is just my thoughts, so don't quote me on this, but I think you have to sign saying that you were actually paid
It depends
by.
on the administrator. Yeah,
Okay.
it depends on who the administrator of that. But yes, in my personal experience, because I used those when I had nannies, the nanny had to sign. And we would
Okay.
do it once a month and fill it out, and she'd sign it and we'd send it in. But of course, she was paid on the books. You
Hold
there?
on. Yes, I'm reading. Rachel said that's very interesting way to sell education stipends. This is a tax-free for, whoa. This is tax-free for you and tax-free benefit for me. Therefore, I am willing to take 25 cents less per hour savings us both taxes. Oh, I'm assuming that she's talking about the conversation that you have with your parents.
Yes,
That's what I'm assuming that
exactly.
conversation
Because,
that is.
anything that
Okay.
has to do with money is all negotiable, right? Because it's fungible. The family has
Right.
a budget, and say that they've got $45,000 to pay the nanny, and you want $2,000 towards conferences and expenses. You can agree to what works out to be $43,000 plus that guaranteed stipend for the education in it, and that $2,000 that you've agreed to, like, I'll take less in my pay in order to get this stipend. No one pays taxes on that.
Right.
So,
Right. Negotiations. Work them
yes.
out. Negotiations. That's what a work agreement is for. Okay. Lisa says, Kathy, I found out that both mom and dad need to be working to use that tax credit, unless that's just in Illinois.
They're either both spouses need to be working, or there's other conditions like the health of a spouse, or the spouse is in school. It's as in an educational environment. So like if one spouse is in college and the other spouse is working, then they need a nanny, they can get it. But honest to God, that's their issue on whether they qualify for it or not the nannies.
Right. Right. I have another question for you. Can a family, if they have like a family business, can they pay the nanny through the family business?
Technically, they can pay the nanny through the family business, but they have to keep two sets of books, because when they go to do the income taxes for the family business, they can't deduct the nanny's payroll, any of the taxes, or any of the insurance associated with the nanny. And most reputable accountants will say, let's not go there because we're making it too complicated. Let's keep our household payroll separate from our business payroll. So we don't have to
Okay.
do this kabuki dance with the books all the time with the adjusting entries. Um, it's never the nanny's problem at the end of the day. As long as the taxes are paid,
Okay.
it's never the nanny's problem. However, the family business's workers' comp policy may not cover the nanny, because those policies are written by industry. And so the nanny's a household employee and the family business might be merchandising or whatever. So the insurance policy might not cover it, and it could be considered insurance fraud to try to put the nanny on the business insurance, because
Okay.
she's not a business employee, even if she works for the owners of the business. She's not a business employee.
Okay.
So
Now my next
go
question
ahead.
about is workers' compensation.
Uh-huh.
I know that some families have in their policies, in their homeowners policies, does that cover the nanny? Or is that just for,
Okay, so there's very few places where workers' comp could ever be in a homeowner's insurance policy. That's not the case, I don't believe, in Texas. It is in California. I'm not a licensed insurance agent, so I can't tell you state by state, but typically speaking, workers' comp is a commercial insurance policy and homeowners is personal insurance. And most people that sell personal insurance don't sell, they're two different beasts. And you generally have
right?
to get your workers' comp separately from someone licensed to sell commercial insurance. So you can
Okay.
never get workers' comp, for example, from Geico or USAA because they don't offer commercial insurance in any way, shape, or form. And it's a
Okay.
commercial product.
Okay. Great. Now, Zadie says if you work for a short time for a family, like 3 weeks, can the family give you a 1099? Is that legal?
Well, if they didn't pay you more than $2,100 in that period of time, I guess they could. You're still responsible to pay taxes, your income taxes on the amount of money that they paid you. Um, they would have to be very careful completing the 1099 that it was that it's not subject to Social Security taxes. So I would be very cautious about that. I'm not going to do a DIY how to fill out a 1099 on Facebook Live, but you have to
Right.
be very
Right.
careful
No, no, no.
how that's filled out can make a difference as to whether you have to pay 15% of Social Security taxes or not. So you want to be darn
Wow.
sure that that's been done the right way before you say, okay, that's fine. There's really no good
Okay.
reason that they would need to do the 1099.
Right.
They don't have to do it by law or anything like that. So,
Okay. So technically, if they don't pay you 2,100 up to $2,100, is if they pay you more than $2,100, you have to
get a
take
W-2.
taxes and
Right. If
W-2 and
they
all that.
if they paid you less than $2,100, you still have to pay income taxes, but you don't owe Social Security taxes on that.
Okay.
All right?
So your little babysitting money, I work with this family over here one time, I work for that family over there one time. All of that is still
Right.
taxable
It's
as
taxable
a
for
whole.
income taxes, but not for Social Security and Medicare.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we have another question. What if you're in a situation where the family doesn't want to put you on the books? Some families say the it's expensive for the too expensive for their budget.
Well, some people can't afford nannies. I'm sorry,
Say that
but
again,
there's no good way to tell someone that they can't afford something. They've already just told you they can't afford you.
right. That's why I said say that again for the people in the back that didn't hear you.
That's
Because
right.
having a nanny is a luxury.
Right.
And when I say a luxury, you got someone coming to your home and that is taking care of your child instead of you having to take your child to daycare and be in a room with 20 other children and getting sick every other day and every other week and bringing home stuff to the other kids and to you and you getting sick. So that is a luxury to have someone to come into your home and to have them to take care of your family, your children. So, and like you said, everybody cannot afford
Right.
a nanny.
And if they can't afford to pay the taxes on the salary that they're paying you, they can't afford you because you deserve to be treated as a professional. You are a professional, and they wouldn't go and take a job with ABC Corporation and have the boss say, those taxes, they're just too expensive. I'm just going to pay you cash. They just wouldn't do it.
Yes.
You wouldn't think, why, if they wouldn't accept it themselves, why do they think it's right for you to accept it? It's my point. So
They think they can get away with it.
Well, but if you do it that if you start off that way with the job, they're going to nickel
That's
and dime you. They're not going to pay you overtime. They're going to
right.
be, you come in early, you stay late, you still get the same amount of money. Next thing you know, you're doing this, that, and the other thing that weren't negotiated up front. I mean, I've been in this industry almost 27 years. I've been there, done that.
And you start out not having to clean the toilets and not having, oh, can you tidy up the bathroom? We have company coming over today. And then all of a sudden next week, you didn't clean the bathroom this week. Was I supposed to? I cleaned it as a favor to you last week. Well, I think we need to add that to your list of things to do, but we're not going to pay you any more money. And you're like, well, I'm the nanny, not the housekeeper. And yeah, it gets to the stuff gets just kind of piles on and piles on. You do a favor, you go above and beyond, and there's nothing wrong. Don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with going above and beyond for
Right.
the families that you work with.
As long
But
as it's agreeable to everyone, and
yes,
but being taken advantage of, rolling over and laying down and letting them roll over you is a different story. Everybody does something
yes,
that's
don't
not in their job description from time to time. Everybody, no
right.
matter what job you
Just
have.
right. Ingrid wants to know: is it true that the laws have changed for donations to nonprofit and will not be Okay. Is it true
This
that
goes back exactly to what we talked about with deductions for business expenses. Like
okay?
the way that the law changed is that they increased the standard deduction so much that most people won't have enough charitable deductions to make it worth their
Right.
while to give up the standard deduction and itemize. It's going to be, it's expected that like 60-70% of all taxpayers, not just nannies, but all taxpayers, won't itemize. I'm not even positive that itemization will help me, because the standard
And
deduction got increased so much.
right. Okay. Okay. I have to look into my text. I haven't even looked at mine yet.
I
To be
haven't opened
honest,
my
I'm
organizer yet either, and I'll still tell my
like,
accountant everything I did, but I have a feeling at the end of the day it will just be an exercise.
okay. Uh, you have to stand up for yourself and work on the books. Okay. Do you have? Okay. Let's see what time it is. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. If anybody
Can I
has any,
inject? Can I add one more thing that we haven't talked
yes,
about? Health insurance.
yes,
Health
yes.
insurance. So a family can set up an HSA for you, a health savings account, to help you pay
Mm-hmm.
your health insurance tax-free. We've written a couple blogs about it last year, but people still don't understand it. And before you take your next job, if health insurance is something that's important to you, get educated on the easy way that you can negotiate health insurance, just like negotiating professional development. If you were going to be paying your health insurance on after-tax dollars, consider negotiating it on pre-tax dollars. You can still go to the exchange, buy your health insurance. Your family might agree to contribute $250 a month to it, or whatever the number is. But consider doing that, and having them set up an HSA for you.
Okay, so the HSA,
Health savings account.
the health savings account. Remember that health savings account, when you
Right.
get your work agreement, add a health savings account. It is so important that we take care of more sick kids, because they don't go to the daycare when they're sick. They cannot go to the daycare when they're
Right.
sick. But you still expected to come to work when they're sick. They have the flu. They
Absolutely.
have
That's
had
part of that luxury that the family's paying for.
That's part of the luxury that they're paying for you to come and get contaminated
Right.
with their kids' germs that they bring home from preschool, because you're working part-time and the kids are there at school in the morning, but you're there in the afternoon. So you are being paid for this. And if you get sick and you have no insurance, and you need to go to the doctor and you got to get shots and you got to get medicine, I'm telling you, get it done. I have to put drops in my eyes because I have ocular hypertension. This little 0.04, I mean, the bottle is this little. With insurance, it costs $250.
Yep.
With insurance. So I can see.
Right.
That's just me. I don't know what problems you all have.
Right.
But God forbid something happens to you all and you have to pay all this money out of pocket. And it's expensive just to pay the $250 so I can see. But I want to see, so I come up with the $250 every month,
right,
so I can put drops in my eyes.
Now I saw Rachel ask a question about what's the benefit to the family. So again, just like the stipend for professional development, it's something that you can negotiate that can, in the scope of what the family's total budget is, that can stay out of your taxable income, that they don't have to pay Social Security and unemployment taxes on either. So again, it's just a way for both of you. In fact, if you get really clever in doing the math, and the family said they had $45,000 to spend, you can, by pointing out the tax savings, you might be able to get that up to 45.5 or 47 before all this stuff starts coming out for your health insurance and your professional development. Because hey, if you were offering me 45, it's going to cost you 49.5 altogether with their taxes. And let's keep it in that budget, but let's split it up a little bit differently. So what I can do tomorrow morning is I will put links up at the Homework Solutions Facebook page that talks about the work agreements, the contracts, how to talk to a family about the taxes, what the health reimbursement account situation is. I'll put like 4 or 5 links up there tomorrow so that everyone can, do a little bit more research, because we don't have time for this to become, a true educational event.
Right. This is to get some questions answered,
right,
to get you started.
And get pointed in the right direction.
Pointed in the right direction. That's what this is for. And that I want to bring this to you all so that you all will know there's help out there, that you don't have to just accept what is given to you. Now, I have one last question.
Sure.
And I know you discussed this last year, and several ladies were kind of upset about it. Oops. So you go to file, and they have not paid you on the books. I remember you saying there's certain forms that you can fill out, but you risk the chance of the family getting upset.
Yes.
Because you are filing and they're getting caught.
I will post that link up also, because we have, not only do we have an article on how to do it, but we show you how to fill out the form. However, basically what you're doing is saying, I worked for ABC Family as a nanny for their children, and I was paid cash of $25,000, and they did not give me a W-2. So when you do that, the family's responsible for all your Social Security taxes because they didn't deduct them, right?
Right.
Okay, and you're giving up because you have to give the family's name, address, contact information on the form. And the next thing the family knows is the IRS comes knocking on the door. Now, the IRS, to be honest with you, is probably not going to knock on that door for 18 months, 2 years. So not only is the family going to get costs, but they're going to have 2 years worth of penalties and interest on top of that.
Oh.
Right.
So what they did not pay up front,
right,
they have to go back and pay interest on, and penalties and tax.
Because it honestly will take the IRS more than a year to come after them when you file that form, but it keeps you from having to pay taxes that they were legitimately supposed to pay.
Okay. So keep that in mind. If the IRS, if you're still there and the IRS comes after them, they're gonna be upset
That's right.
because all everything. Just keep that in mind. So if you're falling, and
Some people don't
there's no
care. I
telling.
mean, if you're getting towards the end of your contract with the family and if you're not getting paid on the books and you want to, then you've got other problems with that family too. It's almost
Yes.
impossible for you to go, I love this job, I love this, I love that, I love this, but oh, I hate the fact that they're not paying me on the books. It doesn't usually work that way. It usually works like they're not paying me on the books, they're not paying me overtime, they've added responsibilities. In my experience, more often than not, there's more problems than just the taxes if the taxes are a problem.
Right, right. Like Nanny Kim says, wouldn't the nanny have pay a penalty tax too?
No, not as long as you do it all on time.
Okay.
Because you're
So
basically creating your own substitute W-2 form.
oh, okay. So since
That's
you
what you're
wouldn't give it to
doing.
me as my employer, I'm going to do it myself.
Right.
So
It,
here,
it is
IRS,
not it
here's
is not the form W-2. Yeah, it is not the actual
right,
form W-2, but you're creating all of
right.
the information that would have been on that and giving information for the Internal Revenue Service to go back to the employer.
Okay. Okay. So when they go back and they do their research and going back and there's like, let's
Right.
check out Jane over here off
Right.
in Lubbock, Texas. She didn't pay taxes on that nanny
Right.
18 months ago. And I tell you, when IRS hit you, sometimes they hit you at the time when you like, oh my gosh, right now, really, seriously, you want to take my money now? And they
Yeah.
have the right to garnish your
They don't
wages.
care. They don't care.
They will garnish your wages. They don't care.
I think we're
Okay, you
getting more
want
1099 questions again, independent
yeah.
contractors. And
Okay.
and we covered that at the beginning of this, so this will be available for replay, correct?
It will be for replay. As soon as we finish, I will put it up for replay.
Right.
The 1099 was covered at the very beginning of the video.
And
So if you
you are
want,
an employee, you're not supposed to get a 1099. You're supposed to get a W-2 form. And if you accept a 1099, you're going to pay almost 8% more in taxes because you're letting your employer shift their taxes onto your tax return.
right. So you already worked hard for them, and now you're going to pay for working for them.
Yep.
Just saying. So, all right. There's no more questions. It is. I was trying my best to keep this to an hour.
That's all right.
But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to do this anytime, Angela.
Thank you. We appreciate it, and I'm sure that we're going to have a lot of us hitting you up.
Right.
On homework.
And if you want to do a separate section sometime on talking about work agreements or, some subset of what we've talked about tonight, we could do that.
Yes.
I've done many seminars on training nannies up on how to, what their rights are and how to negotiate a fair work agreement. So I'd be happy to come back at another date and do that too.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I know that we need the work agreement, and we also need to know about we're supposed to get 1099s. So we need all.
You're cutting up here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all that you do for the nanny community, because I know that you help to sponsor Nanny Palooza and the INA. Every conference that I go to, I see Homework Solutions, and so I am so grateful that you help to support our professional development.
For 26 years, we've been working to help educate nannies and families, and to us, that's part of our mission.
Thank you. And nannies, do me a favor and do them a favor. Go to their Facebook page. You all have a Facebook page, right?
We do. Homework Solutions. Yep.
Okay. Go to Homework Solutions, like their page, leave a review. Leave a review about what you learned tonight, because this is what they do. They help us to educate us, and so that we can get what we deserve. And they help families navigate through, so we can, they, both sides, so they families can negotiate what they need, we can negotiate what we need, and we meet in the middle.
Exactly.
And
That's
everybody,
where the best relationships are.
yes. So go to their page, like their page, leave a review of what you learn. Homework Solutions, yes. Homework Solutions. I'll go to their website, homeworksolutions.com.
Right.
And you can find the forms. I will post them tomorrow. Once Kathy posts them on the Facebook page,
Right.
Homework Solutions Facebook, I will post them here on this video, so you can just come back to this video and you can get the information that you need.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, ladies,
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Thank you, thank you, thank
All
you.
right.
And guess what? You didn't blow up the internet this time.
No, I didn't. That's great.
Either that or better internet. One of
That's
the
right.
two.
All right. You have a nice night.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye
You
now.
too. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight. Again, go to Homework Solutions and post a review. If you learned anything tonight, if it was helpful to you, if she answered any of your questions, go to Homework Solutions on Facebook page. Go to the website. There's plenty of information for you to start a conversation with your employers. Get the just trust me. Go to the page. Go to the website. They have plenty of information you can put in your mini portfolio to take with you to your interviews, so that you can get paid on books, be paid legally from the beginning. That's where it starts, at the beginning. If families know that you want to be paid on the books at the beginning, then they will treat you like, okay, she knows what she's doing. She knows, that this is what I'm supposed to do for her. Get that done. Also, next week, we have a special guest, LaTera Jackson. Most of you all know her. She has a special story that she's going to share with us, and about her adventures, and especially the NCS world and postpartum doulas. Please join us. Nannies, you join us too, because all of us have been in the same situation. All of us have been regardless as to what other ABCs you have behind your name. Trust me, we all deal with children. We all love children. We all are in the same boat. We're caring for our little ones. So don't forget about the shirts. If you want a shirt, contact me. If you want to donate, contact me. We are raising funds for endowments for the INNTD, which is the International Nanny Training Day, which happens on April the 13th. In March, we will have our annual On the Road to International Nanny Training Day. So I will have a lot of city by city. I will have people like we did last year telling us what's going on in their trainings, and whatever city is closest to you. If you want to travel to another city and get in on their International Nanny Training Day because they have something that's fascinating to you, do that. But let's all get the professional development that we need. And if you're able to help your nanny sister or nanny brother get there, please do so. That's what this is all about. I am all about professional development. I am all about us learning and continuing to learn and continuing to grow and empower each other, because the more you know, the better you are. Like and leave a review for Ask the Nanny. Thank you, Toya. Yes, please like and leave a review for me too. So I will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us. Be back here next week, same time, same place. See you later. Have a great week.